Planned Parenthood. The real history. Modern gynecology was founded by J. Marion Sims, who in the mid-1800s repeatedly and forcibly performed invasive experiments on enslaved black women without anesthesia. On October 16, 1916, Margaret Sanger, together with her sister, Ethel Byrne, and activist, Fania Mindell, opened the country's first birth control clinic, in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Birth control is a legal way to say genocidal activity. Birth control is a psychologically manipulative way to say murder and killing. They also called it a place for healthcare. That is a lie. Healthcare has nothing to do with what they are doing. What Margaret Sanger began is called eugenics. Eugenics is the action of interfering with reproduction in a specific and targeted human population to increase the occurrence of heritable characteristics regarded as desirable. The desirable characteristics were those features which would allow the enslaved to work harder and longer while injured and dying without health care, food or water. Their goal was to design a perfect slave. A non-rebellious, submissive, durable worker. The eugenics technique used to create these super slaves was the work technique developed largely by Sir Francis Galton. The creation of the super slave was a success. It worked. Shortly after Sir Francis Galton's techniques were put into effect, black people began dominating every sport in every part of the world. When they realized that Sir Francis Galton was making super black people by accident, they immediately forced a stop to his selective breeding projects and instead focused on population control. The eugenics murder centers were reset and refocused to concentrate on murder, killing and sickness in their patrons and the community they were in. Margaret Sanger has always had big money backing her, along with several organizations and groups. Sanger aligned herself with white supremacists and the Ku Klux Klan. It was a natural fit. Margaret Sanger and other thought leaders laid the foundation for tens of thousands of people to be sterilized, usually with trickery through lies, often against their will. Margaret Sanger endorsed the 1927 Buck v. Bell decision, in which the Supreme Court ruled that states could forcibly sterilize people deemed unfit, without their consent, and without their knowledge. Exactly what is happening right now with children in this homosexual fantasy-fueled gender grooming charade. To facilitate her ability to murder Black, Latino and Asian babies, she was assisted with the geological operation called the Reproductive Rights Movement. The Reproductive Rights Movement was a tactic used to draw people into the bait of being conditioned by negative and positive triggers from primary and secondary sources of conditioning. A tactic that is often used, such as in the homosexual-fueled gender, rape, and grooming, taking place against the children currently. Women were never in any danger other than the danger being manufactured by the system. Although it was being ignored by popular media, many women of that era had their voices and input ignored as they were against the lies of the reproductive rights movement. In 1939, Margaret Sanger began what was called the Negro Project. Margaret Sanger manipulated, coerced, used negatively and lied to as many black leaders as she could in order to get them to send as many black women to her murder centers as possible. She was well aware that the smarter black people would catch on and become rebellious. In order to stop that from happening, Margaret Sanger would use W.E.B. Du Bois, Mary McLeod Bethune, Reverend Adam Clayton Powell, black doctors, black nurses, and black people in general, to kill and murder their fellow black people. This taught murder and killing, combined with the intentional murder and killing in hospitals and clinics from standard treatment, deepened racial injustice in the healthcare system. This was Margaret Sanger's Negro Project. Teaching blacks to kill blacks. Eugenics was especially popular with sociopaths and psychopaths, such as the majority of the United States politicians, the German and Japanese governments, both of who eventually adopted their hateful and murderous desires to be funneled through the eugenics movement. Each of these three governments would use those eugenic-based ideologies to commit every atrocity you can imagine. Their main targets were the black people who are natural Jews, and the cultural inheritors of the Jewish legacy, the white Jews. Everyone else they targeted was not as important to them. Margaret Sanger traveled to spread her message of murder and death. As they spread, their name changed to hide the truth. At present, the eugenics murder centers are called Planned Parenthood. Its affiliates operate more than 600 racist-based murder centers. No different than Jack Kevorkian. You go to him. You make an appointment. He kills you. Same thing with the eugenics centers. You go to them. You make an appointment, they kill the baby, and sometimes the mother too. For the survivors, they will definitely assist you in making sure you have no more children ever again. That is their main goal. The eugenics murder centers called Planned Parenthood makes sure that all people of every race, religion, both genders, any ability level, any immigrant status, and from any geographical location, are coerced into murdering their children and becoming sterile. That is literally the only reason they exist. Margaret Sanger's racism has proven to be an American success story. The eugenics murder centers called Planned Parenthood have successfully carried out their mission. The fact that the eugenics murder centers have trained Black, Asian, Latino, and others, to kill and murder each other themselves, as well as to kill and murder each other's babies, is a success beyond words. Margaret Sanger, William H. Gates Sr., and the like. These agencies get millions of dollars a year to kill you and make you sterile, and you are told there is no money in the budget to help you. The $256 million being used to enslave you is enough to support in full 8,533 families, meaning a man, a woman, and a child, including rent, entertainment, and food for a minimum of 1 year. That $256 million is distributed yearly as an annual budget. Which means that every year 8,533 families could be given absolute 100% support and assistance. The Auvergne working poor are only bringing in $17,000 to $24,000 a year. 256 million divided for 8,533 families is divided at $30,000 a year. Just enough to prevent oppression and criminal activity from being oppressed. After all of these decades of murder, the demon presence is strong at these eugenics murder centers. Through their own admission, it was revealed, and by their own actions it was proven. These demons in the eugenics murder center are affected by unspoken words, unwritten words, no physical movement or action at all from a person. So strong, in fact, that they realized, a human being, standing within a certain distance from them, who has pro-life thoughts, and good intentions, flowing in and around themselves, a person of peace, who wants to do no harm, and will do no harm, causes them, the demons in the murder-kill building, who are over 100 feet away, and sheltered behind large sealed doors, with windows shut, to be agitated, their ability to focus, and function, destroyed and ruined so much, that they must have the person removed from their presence. Do demons walk the earth? The answer is yes. Yes, they do. They congregate in places that routinely sacrifice the newborn, and yet unborn lives. Which makes perfect sense. The entire history of evil and demons is built up around the sacrifice of children. This is Margaret Sanger's legacy. This is eugenics. This is Planned Parenthood.